and she does a lot of stuff. Oh my god. This is gonna be the hottest mess wrap-up I have done in a while. I apologize, people. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I wore the red lipstick, so hopefully you guys aren't gonna pay attention to the crappy eye makeup I did. And I'm also not wearing a real bra today. This is gonna be some fun-ass content, I hope you know. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Maddie. If you're new here, I hope your day is going well. And today, we are going to be doing my March wrap-up. This is gonna be fun, guys, because guess how many books I read in March? If it's part of the title, you probably already know, but it was 19 books. Guess how many of those I own? 2. I read a total of 17 things from the library in the month of March, which is good because I'm using my local library and I'm not buying books with the money that I don't have to buy books. There was a lot of effort that went into this video. I redid some stuff back there. If y'all didn't notice, I'm assuming no one noticed because it probably looks exactly the same. But getting back on track. So I read 19 books and I want to go into them as quickly as possible because this video took a lot of effort to even get to this part of doing, which is the filming part. I haven't even started editing and I want to post this tomorrow, so I should stop rambling and get into it. Some stats for you guys. I ended up reading 8 graphic novels. I ended up reading 5 teen books and 4 adult books, and then 2 poetry collections, which is exciting. I am very excited to get into this. There are so many books that we need to talk about, and I've already rambled on so long. This is great. The first 2 graphic novels that I'll be talking about are both from the Wicked and the Divine series. I read volumes 5 and 6 from this series. This series is about a pantheon of gods that is resurrected every 90 years and someone is killing them off. And it is badass and lovely and I highly recommend it. This lighting makes my hair look shitty. The next 3 graphic novels that I read were all from the same series again, and that was the Deadly Class series. I read volumes 2 through 4 of this series in March and I absolutely love it. It is about this teen kid who basically goes to the high school for assassins in the 1980s, and even though this series is really enjoyable and I love the action and this art form, I do find that it's hard to keep track of the female characters because they tend to look alike, and every time I start a new volume I'm like, wait, who are you again? I don't remember. Are you a different character or are you the same character? But I really enjoyed it. It's really intense, very violent, but if you like graphic novels like that, this would be right up your alley. I ended up giving Wicked and the Divine 5 out of 5 stars for each graphic novel, and then for the Deadly Class I averaged 3 to 4. If you would like my specific thoughts in each graphic novel, I do tend to put more in-depth thoughts on Goodreads, not necessarily, but you can always let me know if you want more in-depth thoughts on graphic novels that I read. And the next graphic novel I read was called Loose Ends. I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. I could not tell you anything about this book anymore. It's set in the South. I think it has a gangster storyline. There was a little bit of misogyny going on. I cannot remember anything about it at this point because I was just reading through a whole bunch of graphic novels that I had from the library, and this was one of them. I liked the art. Couldn't tell you what it's about anymore. I did read Giant Days volume... I did read Giant Days volume 5, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is a series about like 3 college girls and they're hilarious. I think they're Canadian, to my knowledge, but they're just really enjoyable. If you happen to have not gone into graphic novels, I highly recommend Giant Days as a series to get you into graphic novels because it's so good. It's very good. And then I ended up reading a middle grade that was pretty much basically all pictures, so I'm going to consider it a graphic novel. It was Baby Monkey Private Eye by Brian Selznick. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It was cute, but Brian Selznick is known for his like really gorgeously illustrated books, and they're usually pretty long, and this one was like really short and it was kind of made for babies, which Baby Monkey Private Eye kind of makes sense, but I like read it really quickly and I was like, was there something else that I was supposed to get while reading this? Because I didn't. And moving on to the teen books I read in March, I'm starting with Revenge in the Wild by Michele Modesto. I'm going to go in order of my least favorite to my most favorite, and this was definitely my least favorite teen book that I read in the month of March. This is like a Wild West steampunky world with magic and elves and ogres and vampires and cannibals, and it revolves around our main character Westy, who is on a revenge path, as the title would, you know, portray, but It is more about the love interest, which there's like 3 or 4 to my knowledge, because I can't really remember how many of the characters were in this book to begin with. But I ended up really getting mad at this book. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It could have been so good. The world was really cool, but we focused so heavily on the revenge plot and the love interests that we lost the world at some point, and it just got messy, and I was really mad about it because I had high hopes for this book, and it just ended up not being that great. And then another teen novel that I did not like was The Queen's Rising by somebody. The next book that I read was The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. I also gave this 2 out of 5 stars. This is another kind of complex fantasy world, but it made a little bit more sense than Revenge in the Wild. This is set in a world where you can train in 5 different passions, including art and knowledge and music and all sorts of things like that. And our main character, Brianna, has some troubles picking a passion, and she kind of dots around until she ends up in the knowledge passion, and she wants to get a patron at the end of her schooling because that's who's going to pay her to be a master of her passion. But then she gets caught up in a plot that involves the neighboring kingdom and the like revolution that's going on over there, and there was a lot of things that I thought were going to happen in this book, and they just didn't, and it just went in directions that I was like, no, what? Huh? And I liked some of it, but in all honesty, a lot of it was just not great, and I went in a little too hyped for it. And the next book is Lioness Rampant by Tamara Pierce. This book got 4 out of 5 stars from me. I have been rereading this entire series over the course of a couple months, and this book ends the Lioness Quartet, and it was really, really good. I would say that I can see why this was my least favorite of the 4 books growing up. It definitely deals more with Alana being an adult rather than her being a kid. I liked what was in this book. I did feel like it was kind of superfluous information. We didn't really go anywhere with the characters other than kind of end up where we assumed we were going to end up at the end of the 3rd book anyway. But I did like that there was some inclusion of other cultures. I do feel like some of the cultures weren't portrayed well, but I do want to continue reading the Turtle Worlds that Tamara Pierce wrote, a long time ago to see how I like them now and how they have stood with the test of time, basically. I'm gonna have to edit so many pictures into this video. And moving on, the next teen book was Let's Talk About Love by Cohn, about Alice, who is a biromantic, asexual African-American girl in college. At the beginning of the book, her girlfriend basically dumps her because she is asexual, but Alice has not told her girlfriend at that time that she is asexual, and she has a lot of anxiety about telling like potential partners that she's not interested in sex. And this is a story about her discovering that it's okay to be open about her asexuality, and it's okay to be asexual. The prose style of this book really did irritate me at times. The use of parentheses to display Alice's thoughts got really obnoxious, but I did really, really like the characters, and I did really like the fact that this is actually a new adult age book and that it has a very healthy representation of asexuality. Okay. And I felt like the book wrapped up really easily. I was kind of hoping that this book was going to be more about Alice actually having a partner and both of them communicating about her asexuality and understanding where both of them are. And it wasn't necessarily about that, but I did really enjoy the whole storyline and the really positive focus this book put on friendship. It was really important, I think. Moving on. And the last teen book that I read in the month of March was Obsidio by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This book was absolutely fantastic, as I'm sure you have heard from moi, since I have not stopped talking about it since I read it. And I love it. It's amazing. If you somehow have not heard anything about this book, you should watch my spoiler-free review for the entire series, since this is the 3rd book in the Illuminae Chronicles. It is a really cool space-oriented book. It has a whole bunch of case files and stuff, and it's really good. And I'm not gonna continue talking about it because I've already talked about it a lot. This is going to be a great wrap-up, guys. I apologize. I am in a fine mood today, apparently. Moving on to the adult books I read in the month of March, starting with Red Sister by Marc Lowrance. This is supposed to be about 2 words, assassin nuns. And it was, in fact, about assassin nuns, but it rather blathered on about the world at times. I ended up giving this book 2 out of 5 stars. It just didn't work for me. The main character was really unrealistic at times, and there was a lot of characters that had really indiscriminate names like Pot and Apple or Broom, and you would think that that would be not super hard to like understand who was who, but it actually is like super hard to understand who's who if their names are Pot, Apple, or Broom. It's just, it was a lot, and I probably will not continue the series because I didn't enjoy that book at the end. Moving on to a book I did enjoy, Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This was 3 words: hot vampire sex, and I couldn't tell you what happened or who the characters were, but there was a lot of hot vampire sex, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because I think there was a lot of problematic stuff about it that I'm just like not interested in delving into, but I enjoyed the smut, and I probably won't read on in the series, but I enjoyed the smut. That should be like my YouTube channel thing, but I enjoyed the smut. And moving on, the next book is The Romance Reader's Guide to Life by Jaron. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. It is very strange. It is about this girl in the 1920s, 1930s, who has created a makeup brand with her sister, and the way that the story is told is actually kind of going back in time and flashing forward, but the forward parts are from the dead older sister's perspective and a cross-dressing dog. And it sounds super weird, and I didn't know any of those things when I went into it. I just thought it was like The Romance Reader's Guide to Life. You can probably assume what that would mean, but it's different, and I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. It does a really good job of showing the sisterhood relationship as well as like people's reactions to fiction and reality and romance, and it was just really, really well done. I highly recommend it. And my favorite book of the month was Jade City by Fonda Lee. This book, guys, 5 out of 5 stars. You're gonna be hearing about it all of goddamn time. This is definitely gonna be on one of my favorite books of the year list. It was phenomenal. It's basically like The Godfather plus ninjas, where you have this city where people train from a very early age to be able to wear jade, because jade gives you this like amazing, crazy abilities, and you can't really wear jade for a long time, especially if you haven't trained to wear it, because it drives you fucking insane. And it's about these like warring mafia families in this city that have trained, you know, to wear jade, and they're like ninjas, and it's so cool and it's so good. And I read that Fonda Lee was like a corporate strategist, and you can totally tell that she took so much time to really make sure how the workings of the world was going to happen. I honestly thought that every single character was going to die by the end of the book, and I honestly have to say that that level of tension from a writer is so impressive that it blew my mind. You should read this book now that I've chatted about it for like a million years. And moving on to the 2 poetry collections I read this month, I started with The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one by Amanda Lovelace. This was a fantastic follow-up to her debut. The princess saves herself in this one. They are definitely more narrative focused, and I just really, really like how The Witch Doesn't Burn is really about female empowerment, and I absolutely love the poems. The second poetry collection I read is Dropkick Romance by Cyrus Parker, who is married to Amanda Lovelace. I enjoyed his as well. I do think that I would give it 4 out of 5 stars just because there was a imbalance in the narrative that I kind of felt like didn't gel well with me, but I did really love most of the poems in both of these installments for these authors, and I am very excited because I will be meeting them this month. That is it. I'm gonna go now, guys, because I am rather tired. Alright, I'm gonna go now, guys. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye. Well, I have like 0 energy right now, so I'm gonna go. And that wraps up my March wrap up. I hope you guys let me know what you read during the month of March, and I'm gonna go. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye!